All right, folks, it's that time of the month, so you know the new Farrier box has been delivered. Let's take a look at what's inside. We got the old shoe list for the next WCB that's in Virginia with Tyson Clark judging. That's the shoe list. And on here it says, get a must-add pair of 5/16 tongs. And then there's some bar stock for the upcoming shoe list. So there's 9.5 inches here for the toe extension shoe, and that's out of 5/16 by 1 1/4. And then there's 15 inches of 3/8 by 1 that makes up the Sport Horse bar shoe that's got stud holes punched into it. There's also this marsupial pack for whatever you want to do, put in it, all sorts of goodies. And then a nice little travel bottle of Iron Mountain welding flux. We always can use welding flux. And today, kind of what we're gonna do is I'm gonna make that toe extension front shoe, and we'll just kind of go through it. And this is a great way to get jump started on the upcoming shoe list. So it's awesome that Farrier Box just sends out these products for us, and basically this is just a free way to try it. See, and like, you might as well try it, and then you can know, oh, it's not so bad. And then all you gotta do is call WCB, get entered on the list, and get ready to compete. And just make a couple more shoes and you're freaking on your way to go. So let's start out. Let's make this toe extension front. So we got this toe extension shoe. It says the width of this toe, the extension part, is 2 3/4 inches wide. So basically we need to mark off at least 2 3/4 inches here for where we want this toe extension to be. So probably what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start off by just bumping up a little material to get up in there, so that way there's still some to forge away. And then we're gonna mark out the 2 3/4 inches on where we're gonna set that down and run out our branches to create the rest of the shoe. So, meant to do that. We got our piece here, 9 inches, so half of that is 4 1/2. And then we're gonna do an 1/8 inch offset, so that's gonna be at 4 3/8. And then if we got 2 3/4 wide, we need at least 1 3/8 on this side, and then we need another 1 3/8 on this side. So if this is our outside, and I'm just gonna put in little marks right now because this is gonna change after I bump it up. So I'm just gonna take a little hot cut deal here, put a little mark there, and then we'll come to the other side. And then there we just kind of got 2 rough marks. So when I bump it, I'm just gonna bump just a little bit to the outside of that, and then I'm gonna mark it again. And this is just gonna give me a rough guesstimate on where to localize my heat for when I'm bumping it up. Let's get it in the fire. All right, now we got it hot enough. Now we can start by quenching off. A little more heat on the one side. We basically want to start off by just bumping a little material in there, so that way we have some to forge out once we get to that point. All right, we can start just bumping up just a little bit. It's not going to take a ton. We're just trying to upset just a little bit of material in there, so that way we have some there when we want it, and so it'll be strong enough. Kind of flatten it out. 1 2 3 4 5. Let's kind of see how much we put into that. Almost a 1/2 inch. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. I bet we got our 1/2 inch in there now, and we do. So now I'm just gonna straighten this little bugger out. And then we gotta find our center again. So 1/2 of 8 1/2 is 4 1/4. And then we do our offset, so that's 4 1/8, and our marks change just a little bit. So go 1 3/8 here, and then another 1 3/8 there. Take our little hot cut dealy-my-bob. I'm gonna go to my new mark. Because when we bump this up, that changes just a little bit. So I'm gonna put my new mark in there. I'm gonna try to make sure it's visible so I don't get it mixed up with the other one. Now it's time to start forging these branches out and get it going. All right, we're ready to take our first heat here. So we're gonna come to our mark, start with the half face blow, and then run it out. A lot of the times the hardest thing, I think, with people, they see a shoe like this and like, oh, I don't know where to start or what's gonna be my first step. Well, sometimes you just have to get out there and do it and just try it. So we're just gonna run this out, because as you compress it and run it out this way, it's gonna thicken. And we want our shoe to be the same thickness all the way throughout from the toe to the heel. It's not a wedge shoe, so you're just gonna repeat this process until we get it ran out enough that it's gonna make an appropriate section. Round your corner off for your heel. Do the other one for the inside check, just get it started. Now flatten it out. Let's see how much that other side would have been 2 3/4. How much did we grow? So we're at 4 1/8. So now I'm gonna switch and do the other side just to kind of try and keep them matched up the same. Now we've got the inside branch. I'm gonna come here to my mark, half face blow to get it set down, and then just start running it out. You wanna make sure you don't do too many half face blows and start to distort that branch too much. Just flatten a little bit. Forge it on both sides so that way it comes out to be the same and doesn't get lopsided, a wopsy-turny, catty-wampus, however you want to say it. You're trying to forge it squarely with your hammer. So meaning you want to leave it flat on the anvil this way, and you want your hammer blows to hit it square to the anvil face as well. So we're gonna round the corner off, start our heel. Keep running it out. Now we'll flatten it. All right, so now we've got those 2 heats in it. We'll measure it, see how long we are. We're at 10 3/4. I know to come out to the dimensions of this shoe that is 5 5/8 wide by 5 7/8 long, 10 1/4 is not gonna cut it. So we gotta draw that thing out a lot. Because usually to get to a 5 by 5 foot, it's gotta be 10 inches or 12 inches long. So to get to 5 5/8, we gotta be almost to 13 inches drawn out. So we're gonna take another heat. Let's keep working on this. All right, we're gonna run out our lateral branch again. I ran out the medial branch off camera. So now we just gotta get some more length out of her. Just keep forging it and flattening it just a little bit at a time from each side. So that way it grows the same way. Put on a little heel check. Let's see. He's got pretty good heel checks on there, so forge in some more check. Let's see our length. We're at 12 now. So from our outside to there, we're at 4 5/8. From our inside to there, we're 4 1/2. So we pretty much have our offset made into this shoe now. And there we go. Now it's pretty much just drawn out. And I think what we can do is just clean up our little cap there. before turning the toe, and we'll be ready to move on. All right, we're gonna work on the cap here. So I wanted to do this video just to kind of show you guys, this is like the creative process in which the first time you go to make a shoe. So I'm telling you, this is my first time making this toe extension shoe. So this is kind of the thought process in which, you know, a guy usually goes through to try to think up of how to make this shoe. So this is my thought process on how we go about making this toe extension. So I'm just gonna clean it up just to try and get those edges nice and square. I'm just hitting on that heel, forging into the corner. His has a nice square transition there in between the two, and then the top of it as well is square and straight off. So I want to make sure I got that cap basically square and true to how we need it. Now, I lost my center dot, so I gotta check to see which side's my outside. We got 4 3/4 there, 4 5/8 there. This is our outside. Now we just go and turn the toe, and you're just making a regular horseshoe. Let's get into it. All right, so now we're gonna turn our toe. And currently at this point, I don't know if this shoe is gonna work out the way I hope it does or not. So you'll find out and wait till the end to see how good or bad this shoe turns out. And since this shoe has a lot of mass right in the center where we have this extension, it's just gonna wanna bend everywhere around it. So it's just gonna be a little matter of coaxing this baby along. Try to get a front shape into it. So hopefully this turns out the way I hope it does. I hoped for it to. Just gonna ease it along. Just forge it. He's got a nice round radius into it. So I'm just gonna keep forging it on a round radius of the horn, which is all gonna be round, to try and get her to where it needs to be. And that's not as easy as I anticipated. There's our first toe heat. Let's take another one. So it's probably the same as like forging a French hind, where we want to get our outside perimeter to be straight and our inner edge, our inner radius to be round. Except this is a front shoe and not a hind. And probably don't want to set it down too much right at those transitions, because that's where it'll become weak. And then I reckon a guy could probably do this move to straighten it up, square it up a little bit. Yeah. Seems to be working, so we're just going to keep hitting it there. Seat it out, get rid of our sole pressure. Let's get a measure on this puppy. Oh, so we're actually wide right now. That's 3 1/8. So that sucker needs to gather up a good little bit. So let's try and do that. All right, we got to gather this toe extension up. So I'm just going to hit it on each side, just try and squeeze it up. One side's hotter than the other, so that's not real conducive. Come on now. Just try and gather up and clean up that transition. Let's see how much we got rid of there. Oh, we're at 2 3/4 now. Bingo! I can live with that. Now we can just make our shoe. Hot diggity dog. I'm glad that worked. Let's turn the branch. All right, so I've got the outside branch hot first. So the first thing I want to do is just revisit my heel check. And now we turn the branch. Just hitting out in front of it and make it look like a front. So just dropping my tongue hand as I'm bringing the shoe around. So you might be thinking, well, what kind of shape do you put into it, or what foot are you making this for? So this piece of paper where the specimen's on, this is the foot that you're making the shoe for. So either in your head, you just think, all right, that's the foot. I need to make it to fit that. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna look at this, kind of see, well, it's kind of close. I'm a little straight in there. We'll just make it a little rounder. And just bring it around. And let's turn the other branch. All right, we're gonna turn this medial branch. Same thing, just gonna revisit my heel check one last time before turning it. And now we can start turning the branch. I'm gonna start out at the quarter and I'm just gonna feed it into the horn, drop my tongue hand, and just bring it around. Look at my shape, bring it around. Let's do a little measury here. So we're at 5 5/8 there. And then this shoe is 5 7/8 long. So we're pretty much there on size now. And then the width of the heels is 2 1/8. And I'm really wide there. So my heels got to get brought in a lot. Now we can set it up for our fuller end. And for this, basically, it crisscross feather fullers out into the toe. So we're gonna take fuller end, just kind of mark where we want it to start. Kind of the same thing. Fuller it so that it'll be in the center of the section. Oh boy, I might have went a little far there. And then, now we just fuller and punch each branch. And then after that, it's gonna get quarter clipped. So let's fuller out one of the branches here. All right, we're gonna start fullering it. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put on a little bit of hemming, just to kind of control some of the blowout it's gonna give me from fullering. Another little brushy poo. Now we use our fuller. My first pass, I'm just hitting it kind of light, give me a mark. And then as this steel starts to cool, you can hit it a little bit harder till not get as much blowout and keep it controlled. The shoe has 6 nails into it as well. And then come in here, just kind of gather it up, bring it around some more. And then he has the toenails basically bisecting where this terminates. So we'll take our punch, come in here, give it a little mark. I think that's up just a little much, so it needs to come down just a little bit. And that's going to be more in line with where that extension is. So let's punch it. Then we come out to the widest part for our heel nail. Get that punched. Then we use our looby-dooby to quench our tools. Got a little waspy there on my toenail. And then before flattening, I usually brush a little slag, blow off your anvil clean, give it a little flattening. Gather it up some more on the horn. And we go through with our fuller again. Clean it up. Punchy poo. And then our pritchel. I bottom out the pritchel, slug it out. Looby-doob, bottom out, slug. Bottom out, slug. And then you come to the foot side and just flatten it out and iron it out. Now we just have to repeat and do the same on the other side. We got our outside branch. I'm going to start off just doing a little bit of hemming again. Just kind of knock that edge off so it helps distortion later on. A little flattening. So if you're on the fence about whether or not you should sign up for a WCB event, there's no harm in just trying it and doing it. You're going to learn that by going to an event, there are going to be more people there that want to see you succeed and do better as a human being and in your professional life than there are guys that are going to put you down and want to see you fail. It's awesome to see the help and support from Farrier Box. Just to give out, this is a quick teaser on the shoe list. So it's like, it's a freebie. This is a free piece of steel that you get to, put to the test and try out. Now we're going to bisect our toenail. I think that's going to be all right there. And then through Forge and Brains podcast, they sponsor the show, and on the WCB's website, worldchampionshipblacksmiths.com, they have a whole section of merchandise and tools that you can purchase. And then when you're at checkout, you can use code BRAINS and it'll get you 10% off your order. And as for Farrier Box, they sponsor the show as well, and you can go to their website, use the code BRAINS, and it'll get you 25% off your first month's box. That's like $40 in savings right there. It's a hell of a deal. So we're just gonna continue to clean up our blowout from our fuller and our punch on the horn. Run through with our fuller again. Punch. Pritchel. Give it a little measure here, 5 5/8 there. I bet we're gonna be, oh, we're actually a little short still, but we're wide in the heels. All right, so now we're gonna take our heats and we're gonna quarter clip the shoe. All right, time to quarter clip. I typically always do the right side, whatever right side branch is first. That's where I start, so I'm gonna hang over a little bit for where my clip is gonna go. Gonna use our ball peen hammer, hitting the same spot to create a source. Got enough material there, that's for dang sure. Flatten behind it a little bit. Now we're gonna draw this sucker out. Gotta be careful of that little point right there. I'm gonna use the heel of my hammer and draw it out. You're riding it like a wave. We're surfing today, boys and girls. I know I don't have the cleanest transition in my toe yet, but this is my first one. So I'm still trying to figure out how to make this shoe. And I hope this is just a good little, you know, insight or way to just kind of see how, you know, I go about making a shoe for the first time that I haven't made. So this is kind of the process that I would do, and then I'll figure out, okay, that's what worked. This didn't work for me, and then I'll try and implement it into the next shoes that I make. Your first one's not always going to be the best one, so don't get discouraged if your first shoe doesn't turn out to be a cracker. 9 times out of 10, everybody that you ask that's been competing or making horseshoes for a long time, the first one you make is not going to be the best all, you know, it's not going to be the best cracker. But you got to start somewhere. Now let's clip up the other side. Now we're going to clip our other side. So just going to seat out a little bit behind it there. And then we're going to come in with our cone hammer, start drawing out our source to pull this clip. You're just going to try to hit in the same spot over and over. Hopefully do a better job than what I did right there. You come up to the hardy hole there just to flatten out the teardown. Now we're going to ride the wave. Use the heel of your hammer to draw that baby out. And then you can finish it off with flat blows to get rid of the wrinkle marks. Little brushy brush. Now I'm going to look at my measurements. So we're there. This needs to get 2 1/8. So it's got to get brought in some more at the heels. My width is good. It's just the heels got to be brought in some more. Now I'm pulling my clip to the corner of the hardy hole so I can flatten right behind it. Now we run through with our fuller and then our punch again. I think if someone just tells you that 9 times out of 10 that I was referring to, of guys saying the first one's not gonna be a cracker, that one person that tells you that they make crackers every time, they're probably delusional. All right, So this toe extension, this deal, it's the width of it's 2 3/4, which we're at, and then it's supposed to be 1 1/4 wide, which we're 1 1/4 wide right there. So now we're at a part where we just rasp on it, clean it up, and then we'll give it another brushing and be done with her. So we're gonna start out by hot rasping it and clean it up. First place I'm gonna want to start is just here at the toe extension where I have a little bit of a wave and an invert into it. So I'm just gonna try and straighten that up. Come here to my sides, crispen those up. And just kind of clean up the transitions here. It's actually kind of a fun little shoe to make. Not too terribly difficult, but kind of got to be on it with your measurements and stay true to your like where your dots are and your center dots. All right, I'm just gonna finish rasping this baby up. All right, we're making the toe extension front horseshoe for the upcoming WCB in Doswell, Virginia at the Virginia State Fair. This is made out of 9.5 inches of 1 1/4 by 5/16. And the steel was brought to you by Farrier box in this last month's box, along with these 5/16 tongs. Just finishing up with it on the final touches on this brushing. There it is. Here's the toe extension front for the upcoming WCB in Virginia. Thank you, Farrier Box and World Championship Blacksmiths.